Welcome to the University of South Florida. Housing and Residential Education is so excited to welcome you to campus. Living on campus is the only way to get the full USF experience. We strive to provide ample options to accommodate the needs of each student. We offer traditional, suite, and apartment-style floor plans. Let's check out each style. Traditional style is what usually comes to mind when people think about college housing. Students will share a bedroom with a single roommate and then a bathroom with the rest of the floor. Traditional style living offers the most potential for interaction with other residents. We especially recommend this style for first-year students. Suite style offers more privacy than traditional style, while still offering plenty of potential for interaction with other residents. Apartment-style living offers the most independence. In this style, we offer private and double occupancy bedrooms, a kitchen with a full-size refrigerator and oven, and a furnished living room. Apartment style provides the privacy of independent living combined with the comforts of home. What every hall option has in common is that our student residents have the convenient access to the classroom buildings, the library, and all of USF amenities, including the Campus Recreation Center, Marshall Student Center, the on-campus Publix, Starbucks, dining halls, and more. Those living on campus also have access to the residential learning program led by a residential education team. This program provides tools, resources, and opportunities to our student residents to help them navigate their time at the university and position themselves for success. This proximity to classrooms and amenities combined with the residential learning program results in a much higher likelihood that on-campus residents will perform better academically and graduate at higher rates than those who live elsewhere. We are dedicated to creating safe and welcoming residential communities that promote student success. We hope to see you living the Bulls life with us at USF. For more information, visit our website at usf.edu/housing. On our website, you can explore different hall options, complete the housing application steps, and select your future hall.
Coming to you from the beautiful University of South Florida campus in Tampa, it's USF Housing Live.
Hello everyone and welcome to USF Housing Live. I'm your host, Dr. Andy Johnson. I'm the Director of Operations and Outreach with Housing and Residential Education at the beautiful University of South Florida here in Tampa. We have an exciting episode planned tonight to help you prepare for college. Throughout the summer, we'll be talking about on-campus housing, academic success, dining, financial aid, and so much more. So be sure to join us on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. to hear from campus experts and have your questions answered live on the show. So tonight, we'll be talking all about parent and family engagement at USF. First, we'll be joined by a representative from New Student Connections, and then later on in the show, we'll have someone from our Office of Orientation joining us. Be sure to drop your questions in the comments from wherever you're watching, and we'll be sure to answer as many as we can throughout tonight's show. Now, I'd like to introduce David Cooley. He is a peer advisor leader for New Student Connections. Hey, David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. You know what? In my opening intro, I clearly proved that this is a live show, right?
Yeah.
It's not
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So, well, awesome. I'm glad you're here with us today to talk a little bit about what it means to be a peer advising leader. So, talk to us. What is it? How did you get started? What is that role?
So a peer advisor leader, or PAL for short, you got to stay with the lingo. You lose kids.
That
these
is the
days.
way I know it. So the PALs.
So a PAL is basically a student employee who reaches out to first year and incoming transfer students to help with their adjustment to USF and college life in general. So that can look like it can look different in a variety of ways, especially with students. They can be traditional, non-traditional, commuters, so many different ways that they can be coming into college or adjusting to USF. So what we do is we reach out to them, we make sure that they're holding themselves accountable academically, getting them connected to different resources they need to succeed, helping them set goals, that kind of stuff. And it's just overall intended to make the lives of students easier, however that looks like for them. Of course, we try to personalize and individualize all of these different outreach methods to the students that we work with, just try to make them feel as comfortable as possible.
That's awesome. I think that's really important work, especially in the new student connections office. So, so how did you get started in it? Like, how did you become a PAL?
So coming into college, I was a high school graduation of 2020 year, right? So I was COVID year. I was coming in first semester, and everything was online. Nothing. There was no life on campus, and it was kind of bleak, honestly. Trying to come in and start this whole new college experience, try to get something going for myself and building for myself, and there wasn't really much opportunity there. So that spring rolls around, and I see on Instagram that they're hiring for a peer advisor leader job. And I was like, what does that mean? So I showed up to an information session. I met a lot of cool people. And next thing I know, it's 3 years down the line and I'm here with the office. So, it was a really great opportunity. I've learned a lot. And have grown a lot as a person, have been able to meet and impact so many different and amazing students. And the work has just been so rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for anything else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you started to touch a little bit about some of those services and things, but can you expand on them? Like, what kind of services does New Student Connections offer to our students?
Yeah, so with New Student Connections, we have an outreach program and we have a programming program.
Okay.
So with the outreach, like I was describing a little bit before, we have these PALs reach out to first-year students or incoming transfer students and really just start to get to know them, start building that relationship with them early on in their college career so that we can be able to help them throughout their first year. A big principle of New Student Connections is that retention and that transition piece. So we try to make sure that that's going as fluidly and as smoothly as possible for them, especially coming out of orientation as well. Once that summer passes, that baton gets passed on to us at New Student Connections, and we make sure that they're transferring over as smoothly as possible. And then, of course, with the events, we do a lot of work during Week of Welcome, especially. We do events like the Block Party, Mobile Got Questions, Find Your Classes, just a whole lot of different acclimation-based events to make sure that students are not only finding community here at USF, but also starting to get adjusted and taking care of those pieces little by little.
That's awesome. I love the Block Party. It's just always such a good time. So, and there's so many events during the Week of Welcome.
Absolutely.
I don't think people realize how many different departments come together and organize with your office and that coordination through the Week of Welcome. So fantastic time. So so you talked a little bit about some of those different tactics. Is there a transition event or strategy that you've kind of found to be the most helpful?
In terms of strategy, I think it's really just appealing to students as a friend more than just as someone in a position that's meant to do this. Once you start to establish that connection with these students that are coming in and starting to get adapted to USF, and they realize that, I have someone I can talk to, someone who understands what I'll be going through, someone who's been through it. I think that not only makes the transition so much easier for them, but it allows us to really get connected with them and allow them to help them grow as much as they can as well. And I've had students, it's 3 years now, so I've had hundreds, maybe 1,000 students at this point. And every so often I come across one either in my classes or in passing, and they stop me and they're like, "Hey, you were my pal, and you helped me with this." And I'm like, "Wow, I don't remember that, but you know what? I'm so happy that I was able to have that impact because it's just so rewarding."
That's awesome. So we have our first question from Marcella. She's asking, is this available for first-year transfer students? How do they know which students to reach out to?
So yes, the services are available for all first-year students. Most of our services are done through students who come and request a PAL for themselves. That can be done through our website. So if you just search up USF New Student Connections, you'll be able to find us. But other than that, we receive a lot of lists depending on different orientation factors. So we're given that list and told what students to reach out to. We assign a huge list of students to the PALs at the beginning of every semester. And if you're not on that list, that doesn't mean you're not able to get outreach, of course. You can always request that. We have lots of different opportunities and ways to get connected if you're not already doing so. So there's definitely a lot of methods for that to happen.
That's awesome. So got another question from Leanne. So Leanne's asking, what's the best what's the student's best app or way to get the events information for Week of Welcome?
Oh, Bulls Connect.
Bulls Connect.
The Bulls Connect app is a lifesaver in that regard. If you go on to the events tab, literally everything you need for WOW is there. Every event that is listed as a Week of Welcome event has a little tag next to it that says it is a Week of Welcome event. It tells you what campus it's on. So, and it's not only to show the Tampa campus events, because we have events going on all 3 campuses. So whether you're a Tampa student, a Sarasota, or a St. Pete student, there's always things going on. But that's definitely going to be your best friend in terms of knowing what's going on.
And they can find those apps in like the Google Play Store.
Yeah, Google Play,
or
App Store, all those.
Beautiful. All right, sounds good. So you I think you touched on this a little bit, but can you talk a little bit about what it is to be a peer, to receive peer coaching or be a peer coach? What is that?
So to receive peer coaching, so we operate in like 2 stages, kind of. So there's the initial outreach stage where we connect with the student for the first time and we start to understand who they are and what they're going through, because you can't go in assuming that every student is having the same situation,
right,
or it comes from the same background or is going to have the same struggles as someone who's in their same major or any sort of similar characteristic, right? Everyone is going to be going through something different. So just being able to break down what you are going to need to be able to make sure that you're taking care of them as best as you can. That's what that initial outreach piece is like. And then, of course, we always have follow-ups and the additional coaching sessions that allow us to really explore and dive deep into those things that are addressed in the first initial outreach, because then from there, we're able to really understand what it is we need to do to help you succeed.
That's awesome. So let's say someone wants to become a peer advising leader. How do they do that?
So our recruitment is open in the spring. It typically launches that first, maybe second week of February, depending on the year. But from there to spring break, we're running our applications and our information sessions. We put all of that information on all our social medias and Bulls Connect as well as our website. So all of that information is super accessible. We try to do things as accessible as possible. So we do Microsoft Teams meetings to have those sessions, as well as in-person opportunities. So that's just how you can start to get a feel for what the position is, start to learn what you would be doing within the role, and then, of course, you would just apply like a normal job.
Nice. Okay. So for people who want to contact New Student Connections, how do they do that?
We check our social medias quite often. We always have a presence there, but our website has ways to get in contact with us. We have our Bulls Connect. You can just message us directly through there. Our email at New Student is always going to be super easy to communicate with. We always have someone checking that. We're always making sure we're on top of that. So we try to adjust that at all times. But honestly, always just popping in, coming in face to face. That'll allow us to, be the most direct and most impactful off the bat. So whichever one of those ways works, in person isn't always accessible for everyone, but we're versatile.
Awesome. So any advice to new students coming in?
Oh, there's not enough advice that you can give. Just create a plan early. Know what you want to do and how you want to go about it. And time management, I think, is the biggest way about the biggest thing to do in terms of going about that. I came in with a Google Calendar, and that has been my saving grace for the last 3-4 years now. It doesn't work for everyone, of course. Some people like the little paper feel. Some people like to do digital things. But honestly, just finding a system that works in all aspects is basically going to help you out the most when you're coming into college.
That's awesome. All right, so key takeaways. Download the app.
Yep.
Right? Check out the Week of Welcome events. Make sure you're there.
Absolutely.
Connect with a peer advising leader if
100%.
Awesome.
Not even if you need it. Just do it anyways.
Just do it anyways. Right?
Of course.
It's a way to start to make friends right off the
Exactly.
bat. So, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, David. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
All right, so it's time for us to take a short break. We'll be back with more USF Housing Live right after this.
Hey guys!
Hey, thank you for joining us with USF Housing.
Of course!
So let's start with the first one. What is your name?
My name is Addie. Do you guys want to go into my room?
Of course, yes.
All right, come on.
So Addie, where are you from?
I am from Georgia.
Ooh, and what year in college are you?
I'm currently a sophomore.
Addie, what's your major?
I am studying environmental science and minoring in biology.
Ooh, and what's your favorite part about the major?
Definitely the people I've gotten to meet through the classes. In the field, people seem to have pretty similar interests. So it's cool to do cool things with cool people.
What's your favorite part about living on campus?
My favorite part of living on campus is just how accessible everything is, with hanging out with friends, dining, and just like going to class. It's so easy to get anywhere within 20 minutes.
Hey, since you mentioned dining, what is your favorite dining area on campus?
If the MSC doesn't count with like Chick-fil-A and Panera, I would have to say JP Dining.
Now, what do you enjoy about your roommates?
Oh, I love my roommates. We're pretty much all far from home, so it's really nice that we've created a home away from home for each other. So whenever I come home, it's like coming home to my family, basically. So that's awesome.
That sounds great. Now, what is your current favorite memory here at USF?
That's a hard one. I'd have to say over this winter break, I went on a trip with the University of South Florida Adventure Trips, where I got to work with a bunch of my coworkers and new coworkers, and it was just so awesome to meet new people. We hung out in the woods, backpacked, and sea kayaked all together, and it was a lot of fun.
Hey, sounds like a great time. Important question, do you play any video games?
Does Mario Kart count?
Of course it counts.
No Mario Kart.
Do you have a hobby?
I do. I row with the University of South Florida's rowing club, so that's a lot of fun. I practice throughout the week, and I also play guitar, like I said before, and I really enjoy hiking and backpacking, snorkeling, scuba diving, anything that really gets me in the outdoors. I love doing.
Definitely adventurous. Now, Addie, what advice would you give new incoming students?
For new incoming students, I would say get involved. There's so much to do on campus, and when you think that there's not something out there for you, there's something out there for you. And once you find those little niches, you meet so many cool people, and you just really find what works best for you. So get involved.
Thank you so much, Addie,
Yeah,
for
of
joining
course.
us.
Let me walk you guys out. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Of course, thank you.
Welcome back. For those of you who are just now joining us, this is USF Housing Live, and we are here to help you to prepare to live the Bulls life at USF. Ask us your questions in the comments, and we'll answer them live on the show. Our second guest for this evening is Assistant Dean for New Student and Family Engagement, Marnie Hauser. How are you doing, Marnie?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Good.
So, all right, you ready to get started?
As ready as I'm going to be.
All right. So we're going to start with orientation, and then we'll hop into new student connection and
good.
stuff. So tell us a little bit about the Office of Orientation, and what is your role there?
Sure. So for the last 17 years, I've had the pleasure of serving as the director of that space, recently acquiring New Student Connections and Parent-Family Engagement as additional support for our new students and families. So the Office of Orientation is responsible for a lot of the onboarding our students and families receive and need as they're transitioning into the university. So as you know, we provide programming, but it goes well beyond that in terms of connecting students and families with resources and different entities at the university that they may need.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about the format for orientation sessions this year? What should
Sure.
folks expect?
Sure. I think the first thing to know and for our families to know is that orientation is required for our students. And while we love to say that it's required for our families too, because we want them to join us, it is optional, but we recommend that they join as well. So while it's required, we want the students to want to be here. It is a one-day session from about 8 a.m. until about 5 p.m. Our welcome officially starts at 8:45 sharp. And we provide all sorts of university-based content, information, opportunities to take care of some transactional items, and really just get connected with our orientation leaders. You heard from one of our peer advisor leaders, David, a little while ago. The PALs are also part of orientation as well as our other peer mentors on campus, but really just getting connected and starting to build community and starting to create those foundations and solid footing for our students. Families, same thing. So we think about it not as a transactional opportunity for our families, but really for them to kind of hone in and really solidify the fact that this is the right place for them and for their students. So one day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they'll meet with the academic community during that time too.
That's awesome. So if there's a family member that's kind of on the fence
Sure.
on whether or not they should attend with their student or not, and they're like, well, I really don't see the value in it,
Sure.
what would you say to them?
So I would say, some people it's a decision that they have to make because we're asking them to take a day off of work, but potentially travel, figure out childcare, all of that. And I would say, if your student is one who, you feel has a solid footing, think about what the resources are that they might need and how you are going to support them in their transition. Beyond that, think about your own transition, right? You've spent 17, 18, 19 years old building the foundation for them to be independent. But we also know that they're your children and they're your
That's right.
students and they need that additional support. So in those experiences, we think about the family opportunities and family transition as well. So folks like yourself, your department, and housing and dining, thinking about some of the transactional processes that our families need to complete on behalf of their students, thinking about getting safety and community responsibility information from our Dean of Students office. We're thinking about ways to just connect with the university as a family member. Those are things that families are going to learn. It's not something that they're going to pick up on a website. It's not something that, as they're crowdsourcing, they may find out. So we just ask people to think about what they hope to gain from it and think about the fact that, if nothing else, this is a really great monumental moment for them as a family and to experience this alongside their student.
I think one of the things too that I've really enjoyed, because we've talked a lot about community and things like that, is that the parents have their own community,
That's
right?
correct.
And to see a lot of them reconnect at fall family weekend and things like that. And I know those details are still being worked
Yeah.
on, but excellent
it's
opportunity
true.
to, like, even if you came next week when June 1st on our first orientation session, right? And like, oh hey, Marnie, do you remember me? And being connected in the fall as well. So
This year, too, we've added an additional opportunity for families to hear from our orientation leaders. It's something that we did pre-COVID, and it's a really well-received session. So we will have our orientation leaders sort of as a panel of sorts for our families, just to ask them anything that they might need to
that's
know
awesome. That's really awesome.
and get the student perspective on things. So we're really excited about that. I think that in the last couple of years, that's been something that's been missing from our family program. But, of course, hearing from their own peers, but then hearing from our students about what to expect.
That's fantastic, because I think that also empowers the parents and families to go back when a student has a concern or an issue and say,
Correct.
well, hey, do you remember when they said this at
Exactly.
orientation? This is who you go see. And then point them in the right direction so
Exactly.
the office can help them. So that's fantastic. So got a couple of questions that have
Sure.
come in regarding orientation. So we're going to start with Riz. Riz asks, and it seems like her daughter's a first-time freshman. So is it better to connect via email, app, appointment, or phone with an academic advisor before or after orientation with regards to beginning the registration process?
So we know our students and families are eager for that course schedule, right? That's essentially why we're here. And so I think the most important takeaway from here is to realize that our academic advisors are working very diligently to create schedules for our first-year students. All of the colleges, all the academic colleges and advisors, they will create what we call pre-registration schedules for their students. So it's important that we make sure as families and students are transitioning in that they submit transcripts and test scores and give us the most accurate and up-to-date information. That's really what we need people focusing on. We know they want to meet with advisors. We know that they want that appointment. But I'm going to be honest with you to say it's going to be tough right now to get those appointments. I think they have to kind of trust the process a little bit, let the advisors do their work, get those schedules together. And then at orientation, when we have the college overview portion, which is about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, for them to hear from the academic colleges, they can understand better what is in front of them, how to change those schedules, and the next steps. If they really need the appointment, the best way to do that is to schedule an appointment through my USF, which is the student portal, through the Archivum tab on there, and there's an advising appointment area. Now, I'm going to tell you that those appointments are not going to do exactly what the folks need them to do, right? So if you're attending the June 1st orientation, don't go running on there and start, putting in your student's net ID and password and hoping to get an appointment tomorrow. It's not going to happen. So I think we have to trust the process a little bit. And we're used to, the K-12 experience where they're creating those schedules for the students, but also families and students have a lot more say in what those experiences are. So this is a different world, right? We have to kind of think about that and let a little bit of the process happen itself.
Right.
So, and I've heard a lot from families that they're frustrated because they want to talk to an advisor now. But again, on the first year side, a lot of the colleges will reach out and do that outreach on their own once they have an orientation reservation. So the other side of that is if students haven't reserved orientation yet, I'm not sure what we're waiting for, but they need to go in and do that so the colleges know that they're coming.
Right, because orientation season's getting underway
It's
very
here.
soon.
Next week it starts.
So, I completely agree with you. I would ask families, please be kind to your advisors
Yes.
when you're starting to meet with them. So this kind of jumps into another question that Shelly's asking about what is the date for orientation, and there are many dates.
Sure.
So.
We have 19 sessions.
19
now,
dates.
you're going to go on the website and you're going to look at all 19 dates and you're going to go, gosh, it would be really great if we could have this. And then the student is going to go into the orientation reservation portal and they may not see every orientation date. So just be mindful that we do list all of the dates that we have to offer, but not everyone is eligible for everything, and some sessions are full at this point. We opened reservations back in February. So just, again, kind of be patient with that process. If you're traveling, if there's a medical concern, something that is very specific, please contact our office at myorientation@usf.edu, and we'll try to work with you and your student on that. And provide a U number because we need that information.
The U number is critical.
Yes,
so
it's key.
Please let us know that U number. So Wendy has a kind of a very forward-thinking question.
Sure.
Is there an orientation day as well as a week of welcome for spring admits?
Yes. Yes
So-
to both.
Yes to both. That's right.
So I'm assuming Wendy's student is a spring admit, right? So we won't open reservations for our spring orientation sessions until October. We need to make sure our summer and fall admitted students transition in successfully before we start thinking about spring. It's usually about mid-October. I think we're somewhere around October, I'm going to say the 20th, somewhere around there. But keep checking back on the orientation website and we'll post that date as the summer progresses. There is Week of Welcome also that happens. So typically our orientation sessions for spring admits are mid-December and then that first week in January after the new year. And then Week of Welcome is just prior to the start of the spring semester, and then it kind of folds into the first week of the spring semester.
All right, so I know this is about orientation.
So we have time.
Oh, I was going to say, I know this is about orientation, but I have to do a shameless plug for housing, is that our spring-only application opens on September the 1st for our spring admits, and for anybody else looking to move
Yeah.
on to campus then.
So I think rule of thumb
Awesome.
is early and often for
Yep.
everybody, right?
Absolutely. Plan early. I think David said that in our last session. So.
Exactly.
Another orientation question.
Sure.
Do you need to purchase a parking pass for the day? So thank you, Leanne, for the question.
Nope, it's actually attached to the orientation confirmation. So once student and or family is reserved, they'll receive an email confirmation from our reservation site. Attached to that, it's a PDF, and attached to that is the orientation permit. Now, if you go in and you don't see that email or you don't see that parking permit, log back into your orientation reservation, same way you did before, and the very last page is that confirmation. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, the parking permit's on there. We just ask that you print it and bring it with you. If you forget, if you're traveling, you don't find it, whatever, we will have some extras available when you pull onto campus into the parking structure.
Gotcha. All right. So we have one other question from Arlene. My son signed up for a general orientation on July 6th.
Okay.
Are there smaller orientations for their major? And I think you touched on this a little bit
Sure.
with meeting with the colleges.
Right.
So
we've incorporated the college overview session into this year's program. So if we had families and students who attended in previous years, there might have been a second day, or it might have been, sort of on their own. There is a time, it's 11 a.m. on that session day, on only one day, that the students and families who are attending will meet with their colleges. It's not academic advising, so let me just be clear on
So it's
that.
a
It is a college
college
overview to understand the process, to meet the advisors, to understand what the expectations are, and to get them started. But it is not an academic advising session, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. So to meet with the academic colleges, a lot of times our colleges will reach out ahead of time, do some kind of introduction, or may require an additional module completion in Canvas or something prior to the student arriving to their orientation session date. And every college does it differently. So what we've done is we've made sure we pull everybody together in one space on that orientation day and give them that hour plus to speak with their students and their families so they understand what's ahead of them.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is it's a university orientation.
Correct.
Right, and then you have an opportunity to meet
Sure.
with the college.
And some colleges
listen
will
to-
do outreach after orientation as well. So the Judy Genshaft Honors College is a really great example. They don't host an overview session during the university orientation. So what you and I are talking about. They do that outreach separately, and that way those students who are admitted both into a particular major and the Judy Genshaft Honors College have both experiences. We want them to meet with their academic college major and then the Judy Genshaft Honors College separately.
Okay, awesome. So I got one more question, then I want to move on to
Sure.
to talk a little bit about New Student Connections. But are clubs and organizations presented at orientation for students to give an idea of what kind of choices they have?
Sure.
All 600 of them, right?
Right, yes. So during our student program, so we do sort of a hybrid where students and families are together for some of the orientation day, and then they're separate for part of it. So the separate part of it would be a session called Living Life as a Bull. And we have a lot of our peer mentors. Again, you met David a few minutes ago. He'll be there presenting, and we talk about engagement opportunities for students at the institution. So thinking about not just clubs and organizations, but also mentorship. Will all 600 clubs and organizations be on hand? No. But that's also a lot of what we do during Week of Welcome. It's also a lot what we do during the semester to get students acclimated. Bulls Connect is the best place for students to learn about different clubs and organizations that might be available and of interest to them. So we represent the areas that support and advise the clubs and organizations so that the students can at least hear from them to know where to start. And same thing for families. We present that information as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to talk to David a little bit more about his esports club.
Yeah, exactly.
And his engagement there. So, all right. So I do want to talk a little bit more about parent and family engagement, right? 'Cause
Sure.
that's what our tonight's show is about. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that, or we talked a little bit about this. Sorry, shifting gears here. What advice? Well, we'll go back to it. I don't know where I'm at. Again, this is live, right? So, but what advice would you give to parents as they're
Sure.
starting to make this transition?
So first of all, I love talking to the families about all this because every student and every family situation is unique. So is there one piece of advice? No. But what I like to tell families is let their student kind of navigate the experience. Let them drive the experience, excuse me. And so the student, for a long time has been kind of in the passenger seat. Now you're switching roles. And that's a hard pill to swallow for some of our families because it's the shift. It's the adult relationship. So realizing that there is going to be a pivot there, that dynamic is going to change a little bit. And this is the student's opportunity to kind of be that independent forward thinking. Now, that's terrifying to a lot of us. I'm a parent.
Yep.
You're a parent,
I'm with you
right?
on that one.
And so thinking about our students or our kids doing this on their own is horrible. So I'm not saying take a back seat. What I'm saying is let them drive and you be the navigator now. Provide them the tools, the resources, have confidence in them, and then be there if they need that. If they need the support, if they need guidance, if they don't know what to do, right? And so a lot of times as parents, we think we need to do it for them. Don't do it for them. Trust the process. You have trusted them this far and to get this far, and they've done great. And so we really have to kind of live into that. But then be there if they need that, if they need to have somebody to talk to or don't know what to do next. And encourage them, based on that information to kind of do these things on their own because that's how they're going to learn.
So with that, I know that I regularly log on to my child's, Canvas website to make sure that she's doing what they need to do.
I would never
Check the-
do that, Andy.
Shoot, I don't. Check grades, things like that, right? It's a little bit different for
Right.
a college student. So can
Right.
you talk to us a little bit about a parent's access to student financial information
Sure.
or records or health care, those kinds of things?
So once a student hits 18, that's really restricted. And so FERPA, or the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, restricts us as an institution from sharing that information. There are ways for us to talk through that and to kind of work through that. I don't want to say work around it because that wouldn't be appropriate. But a net ID, a password, a university ID number belongs to the student. And I think that's a really hard thing for our families to understand. That all of a sudden from K to 12 for the last 17, 18, 19 years, they've had all of this access, open access to everything. And now we've said, we're sorry, you can no longer have that access. The Parent Family Engagement Office is one that kind of coaches the families through what's appropriate and what isn't. Have those conversations with your student. Start thinking about what that looks like, the expectations that you set, right? To know what's going on with the grades, to know what's going on with the coursework. To say, look, I'm not doing it for you, I'm not hovering over you, but to say I'm sitting next to you and I need to understand what's going on so I can support you. And they're going to be tempted. And the number one thing I say at orientation is don't do it. Don't be that person that logs in with your student's net ID and password, because we like to tell the horror story of the family member who accidentally logged into their student's Canvas, accessed a quiz accidentally, and then their student ended up failing that quiz because they touched something they shouldn't have, right? And there's no backtracking because you can't really say my mom touched something, right? Like, what are you going to tell the faculty
love to
member?
see that note.
No,
Right.
you can't do that. So just be honest and say, and we're realistic. Like, most of the families have made the reservations on behalf of their students for orientation.
We're the same way with housing applications
Yeah.
and room selection.
But make sure the student understands what you're doing.
Right. Right.
And by the way, that you're coming with them. So we've had those awkward conversations too.
I'm sure you have. So let me ask you this. So if a parent or a family member wants to continue their engagement with the university,
Sure.
what's the best way to do that?
So there's lots of ways to get information, right? And so the Parent and Family Bulletin is one way to sign up. You can go to the Parent and Family website through the Office of Parent Family Engagement and New Student Connections and sign up for the Family Bulletin. That is our newsletter. It comes out once a month, and so it has all sorts of different information about the transition, but also on a monthly basis, things that families should be thinking about. We're also promoting events, making announcements, things like, hey, has your student signed up for an advising appointment for their next semester? So pings the family to say, hey, you might want to encourage your student to activate on this.
Yep.
So that's more of I don't want to say a passive way, but not necessarily a programmatic way to do that. So get that information early and start engaging that way. Come to campus, see what campus life is like, right? Visit. Sometimes make sure your student knows you're coming.
Yep.
Nobody likes those surprises,
No,
right?
not unless they're getting a trip to Publix.
Exactly.
For some groceries.
Right, exactly. So thinking about that, but then also through Family Weekend in the fall semester, we do host that, and it is in conjunction with Homecoming. It is the same weekend as Homecoming, so October 13th to the 15th. We'll be marketing that very soon. I've had lots of questions about tickets and events and costs and what's in store. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but just know that that's the weekend. And it is in conjunction with that. So that's just one of many ways. Families are welcome to buy tickets to athletic events and our fine arts events and all of that too.
Yep. Great way to go out and support all bowls.
Yep.
So for sure.
Exactly.
Well, you jumped into my next question, which was
Sure.
what were going to be the events that are coming up for families. But I think the biggest one is the Fall Family Weekend.
Fall
So you said
Family Weekend.
October 13th through
13th
the
to
15th.
15th. Yep.
So
It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That'd be so much fun.
It is in conjunction with Homecoming. It is a lot of fun. We encourage our families to come out, attend the parade. If they are interested in football, there's a football game that weekend, obviously. We typically have a brunch that families and students can attend together, some additional ticketed events that they can attend together, but just really just be here and feel the spirit of Homecoming and Family Weekend as a whole entity.
Fantastic.
And everybody likes swag and free stuff, so we have all
That's
sorts
so
of
true.
stuff.
So true. So, all right. So, how can families best prepare their students to live the life as a bull away from the home for the first time?
Sure. So one of the things I like to recommend to families first is, we have all the transactional things that we need to think about. Start making those lists. Start thinking about bite-sized pieces of what you need to accomplish. All of our websites, your website, my websites, we all have task lists. Start thinking about right now the transactional things that need to happen. Beyond that, start having those conversations about what it's going to be like, that this is not high school, that you are going to meet new people. You're going to meet people who are different from you. Not good, not bad, just different. right? Start thinking about how to connect with the university community. What is their place? They may not be that rah-rah person.
Right.
They may fit better in a virtual space. That's okay. We have opportunities for students too. Or they may be a commuter as opposed to a residential student. So figuring out what the experience is like for their student and then how to support them. Start having those conversations. Start thinking about what that's going to look like. The number one thing that we hear from students as they're transitioning in is, I haven't met anybody yet. I don't know how to do that. And so what are the events that you're going to attend? Doesn't need to be the large events like our pep rally that we host during Week of Welcome or the balloon drop. It might be something that a club or organization is offering that maybe it's just a meeting that they want to go and check out that's related to their career aspirations. Maybe it's a part-time job on campus. So there's lots of opportunities for our students to start having those conversations early. Not all day, every day, but having those conversations early about things that the students might want to do. And really just kind of finding their friend group is really important. Engaging in the classroom, engaging in research, thinking about different things that are here. You're here for a reason.
Right.
And by the way, you're paying for it. So let's go ahead and get the bang for our buck out of things too.
It's true. It's true. I remember back when I was first going off to college, I didn't know anybody, and I literally moved from Virginia to Florida to go to
Right.
school. I'd never visited. I didn't know anybody that was going there. And my orientation group became my first friend group.
Exactly.
Right. And so it really kind of sprawled from there.
Right.
So it's a testament to the work that orientation does to get students transitioned and ready for.
Well, that's why we have the
so.
peer-to-peer connections during orientation and beyond, through New Student Connections and some of other offices on campus. There are people out there who are just like your student and thinking about what that looks like. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of legwork to figure that out. Sometimes it comes easy. And sometimes our social butterflies have the biggest challenge because they take on too much. And so, again, bite-sized pieces, thinking about what do we want to accomplish and how do we want to go about accomplishing it.
Right. You got 4 years.
You do.
4 years.
You do.
And then you got to fly. So, all right. If someone wanted to contact Parent and Family Engagement for additional questions, things like
Sure.
that, what's the best way to contact
So
folks?
the best way is family@usf.edu is our email address, or they can email newstudent@usf.edu. There are folks who check the new student email address all the time, the family email address as well. Social media is another great way. Stop into our office if you're here on campus. We're on the third floor of the Marshall Student Center. And just really, again, think about what that looks like for your student. And if they really don't know where to turn, our offices are the best ones as part of that. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carmen.
Thank you.
We have a couple of housing-related questions
Sure.
I'm going to try to
Go
clean
for
up
it.
before we cut out for tonight. So, let me see. From Jennifer, for a student on a standby for fall housing, if I cannot get housing for the fall, when can I apply for spring housing? Jennifer, I will tell you that my team is working very hard to move everybody off our standby list. We do have a webpage that we update daily, if not every other day, with all of our movements from the standby list. And so just trust that we're working as hard as we can to get everybody. And so if it is that you do not, which I'm very confident that you will probably get on campus this fall, but the spring-only housing agreement opens on September the 1st. So just pay attention for that. So thank you for your question. Han, can a student register early to move into the dorm a few days before official moving day for fall 2023? Yes, you can. We actually start our what we call soft opening on Sunday, August the 13th. And we will have more information about that in the next few weeks with regards to grand opening, all of the move-in instructions and the dates and things like that. There is an additional fee when you arrive before grand opening day on the 17th based on where you live. And we'll have all of that information published as well. So thank you for your question. We can tag team this question, but it's from Thomas, and it says, during orientation, do students get a chance to take a tour of their dorm? I will share that we do offer daily tours in the housing office at 1:15. I'm looking to my team. 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock we leave from right out here in front of the Argo Center. And I believe that there is a sign up on our website if you are interested in that. So So yes, we will have an opportunity if you want to take a tour of some of our residence halls. It will not be all of them. We do still have students living here, but we do have a few rooms available, and we can talk to you about any questions and process that you may have. But we'll also be at orientation sessions available to students as well. So
Andy, can I add one more thing?
you absolutely can.
If they do end up reserving a tour space during orientation for that 1 o'clock time period, they just need to make sure that they're back by 1:30. That's when 12:30 to 1:30 is about our lunch hour. And so if they do end up choosing to do that, that's fine. Just make sure they're back in the Marshall Student Center by 1:30.
All right. Please don't be late. I do not want Marnie come looking for me. So, all right. We have one last question. Meet asks, can a student live in Greek Village without being in a frat? No. Unfortunately, if you are looking to live in the Greek Village, it is for our returning students, transfer students. We do have a couple of houses over there that we are using for our general population students, but most of the organizations over there do require you to live or to be a member of the organization in order to live there. So, all right. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much again, Marnie, for joining us, and for David. If you have any additional questions about living on campus at USF, you can reach our office by email at housing@usf.edu or give us a call at 813-974-0001. Be sure to join us for our next episode of Housing Live, which is next Wednesday, May the 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll be talking all about student leadership at USF. You can watch us on our Facebook or YouTube page or the USF Parent and Family Engagement Facebook page. This is USF Housing Live is produced by Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida in Tampa, where our motto is the best place to live, the best place to work, and the best place to learn. Thank you again to tonight's guests for joining me this evening. Thank you to our production crew, to you, our viewers, and of course, there's always one last thing. Go Bulls. Good night, everyone.